Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today, we are covering a monumental chapter, Chapter 68, The Fourth Person.
And what a way to name it, because this chapter delivers the single most gut-wrenching, beautiful, and absolutely earned farewell we have seen in this series so far. We're talking about a son leaving his father.
It's a moment built on dozens of chapters of stubbornness, pride, and unspoken love. And when that dam finally breaks, it is unforgettable.
It really is. This is the kind of chapter that defines a series. If you believe found family is the greatest treasure of all, if you believe that the bonds we forge are stronger than any bloodline, make sure your subscription is provisioned for this voyage with us. You won't want to miss a single island on this journey.
Let's dive in. The chapter opens right where we left off. The deck of the Baratie is a mess. The dust from the fight with Don Krieg has barely settled, and Zeff has basically told Luffy to just take Sanji. But Luffy, standing on his principles, refuses.
This is just pure, uncut Luffy. 100-proof shot of who he is as a captain. He looks Zeff, a man who was once a Grand Line pirate captain himself, right in the eye and says he wants Sanji as his cook. But he won't take him unless Sanji himself says yes. He's not collecting a crew, he's building a family. And you don't force family to do anything.
It's the foundation of his entire philosophy as a captain, and it's what separates him from every other captain we have met. Think about it. Alvida ruled by vanity and fear. Morgan ruled with an iron fist. Buggy demanded adoration. Kiro used manipulation and deceit. Don Krieg saw his crew as disposable pawns. They all command loyalty through force or trickery.
Yeah, they're just bosses. Terrible, terrible bosses.
Precisely. But Luffy offers something different. He offers absolute freedom. That includes the freedom to refuse him. He doesn't see people as tools to achieve his dream. He sees their dreams as being compatible with his, and he invites them to share the journey.
Exactly. It's super profound when you break it down. He sees Sanji's dream of finding the All Blue, and he knows it aligns with his own quest for the One Piece. They're both searching for a mythical place at the end of the world. But he also respects that Sanji has his own life, his own debts, his own surrogate father right there. He won't be the one to sever those ties. Sanji has to choose to do it himself. That choice is what makes the bond real.
And just as that stalemate is holding, a moment of pure principle where no one will budge, something crashes the party.
A literal party crasher. This dude, Yosaku, stumbles onto the deck of the Baratie looking like he just wrestled a sea king and lost. He's bleeding, he's exhausted, he looks half dead. This isn't just some guy who had a rough day. He looks like he barely survived a trip to the Grand Line itself.
And he says he's come for Luffy, calling out to him like a big bro. It's a term of respect, acknowledging Luffy's status not just as a captain, but as a leader these bounty hunters have come to look up to. And then he drops the bombshell.
I knew it. Luffy's gut was right. He told Usopp back on the Going Merry he knew she didn't just abandon them. She stole the ship, sure, and all their treasure, but there was a reason. There was always going to be a reason. And here's the proof, gasping for air on the deck.
The proof is half dead on the deck, but it's proof nonetheless. Yosaku's condition is a testament to the severity of the situation. He didn't just sail here, he fled. He says he knows where she is, but they can't do anything without Luffy's strength.
That line is so important. It's not just that they need help. They need him. Not, we need a strong guy, but we need you, Luffy. Luffy's reputation is starting to precede him in the East Blue. He's the guy who took down Buggy and Krieg and Kuro and Don Krieg. The word is getting out. Whatever Nami has gotten herself into, it's something that only a monster like Monkey D. Luffy can solve.
It immediately recontextualizes her departure. This wasn't a simple theft or a betrayal of trust. It seems this is a rescue mission in reverse. She left to protect them from something she felt they couldn't handle. Something so dangerous, she was willing to sacrifice their relationship and their trust in her to keep them away from it.
And now they're going to prove her wrong. But before they can even set sail, the final piece of the Baratie puzzle has to fall into place. The camera, so to speak, pans inside, where Sanji is listening.
He overhears Patty and Karn and the other chefs. We've only ever seen them fighting with Sanji, bickering, throwing insults and punches. But now, when they think he can't hear them, we hear their true feelings. And they're not sad that he might leave. They're excited for him.
It's incredible. They're saying things like, he should go find that stupid sea he's always talking about, and he's been a pain in the ass for years. They're basically giving him a shove out the door because they love him. They want him to follow his dream more than they want him to stay and make soup for them. It's the purest form of tough love.
It's the permission he needed to hear. He was never going to accept it from Zeff because his debt to Zeff is too profound, too personal. It's tangled up in a father-son dynamic, but hearing it from his brothers, the ones he fights with in the trenches of the kitchen every day, is different. Their approval, their genuine desire for his happiness is what finally frees him.
He has to know the ship will sail without him, not just the Baratie itself, but the family. He needs to know they'll be okay, that they want him to go, and they do. So he just walks out, cool as you please, hands in his pockets, cigarette dangling, and says, "All right, I'll go with you." Just like that. After all this fighting, all this drama, all the stubborn pride, he just needed to know they'd be okay.
He needed to know that leaving wasn't an act of abandonment, but an act of fulfillment that they all supported. It's such a beautiful character beat. He's a man defined by his sense of obligation, and they just collectively absolved him of it. They didn't just open the cage door. They told him he deserved to fly.
So Luffy is ecstatic. He's got his cook. He's jumping for joy. The crew is coming together. But of course, it can't be that easy. Zeff has to play the part one last time.
He does. He comes out, face like stone, and says he's glad Sanji is leaving. Says the food has been terrible lately anyway, that he's just dead weight.
It's just brutal. He tells Sanji to his face that he regrets the day he saved him. It's so harsh, but you can just feel it's a lie. But for Sanji, who has lived under the weight of that debt his whole life, it has to sting.
It's the only way a man that proud knows how to say goodbye. He has to push him away, build a wall of anger and resentment to hide the mountain of grief behind it.
It's emotional armor. He's trying to make the separation clean, a sharp surgical cut rather than a slow, painful tear. If he makes Sanji hate him just a little bit in this last moment, maybe it won't hurt Sanji as much to leave. It's a deeply flawed but strangely loving psychological tactic. He's trying to absorb all the pain of the farewell himself.
We even get this quick little flashback of Zeff looking over his restaurant, thinking about its history. This place is his entire life, his treasure after he gave up the One Piece. And Sanji is the most important part of that treasure. Letting him go is like tearing off a limb.
The parallel is almost too perfect, the same way he lost his own leg for Sanji on that rock. He is sacrificing a piece of himself again so that Sanji can live. The first time was for his physical survival. This time, it's for the survival of his dream. Zeff knows the Baratie is a cage for a dream as big as finding the All Blue.
So, it's time to go. Sanji's packed his knives, he's ready. Luffy and Yosaku are on their little boat. And then Patty and Karne decide they need one last interaction.
They roll out a deck cannon. Not for a salute, they aim it directly at Sanji and fire a farewell shot at him.
It's the most Baratie goodbye ever. It's so perfect it hurts. They can't just hug the guy or wish him well. They have to try and blow him up one last time. It's their whole relationship in a single cannonball. It's chaos, it's violent, and it's absolutely overflowing with affection.
And Sanji, without even flinching, just casually turns, leaps into the air, and kicks the cannonball right back at them, knocking them flat. It's perfect. It's not just a gag, it shows he's grown beyond them. He's not the kid that used to beat up in the kitchen anymore. He can handle anything they can throw at him and send it right back. He's ready for the grand line.
He's ready for the new world. It's his own little graduation ceremony written in gunpowder and insults. But then the real moment comes. The moment that always puts a lump in my throat.
As they're sailing away, all the chefs are lined up on the deck. They're waving, shouting insults that are really just words of encouragement, like, "Don't come crying back here." But Zeff is just standing there, silent, arms crossed on his balcony.
And you think that's it. You think the story is going to be cruel and let Sanji leave with those horrible words as their last exchange. You think Zeff's pride is going to win, but he can't do it. He just can't. He breaks. His face just crumbles.
He shouts out across the water, his voice cracking, "Sanji." And the one thing he says, the one piece of fatherly advice he gives him after all these years, after all the pain and struggle and shared dreams, don't catch a cold.
It's everything in that one sentence. All the pride, all the gruff pirate captain persona, all the insults and harshness, it all evaporates. It's the most simple, profound, and universal expression of parental love. It's just a father telling his son to take care of himself when he's no longer there to do it for him.
That's the line that breaks the dam. It's the key that unlocks a decade of repressed emotion. It breaks Sanji completely. We see his face, trying to stay cool, but he can't. He just collapses to his knees on the deck of the boat.
And for the first time, we see Sanji cry. Not out of frustration or anger, but out of overwhelming gratitude and love. He's been holding this in for years, maybe his entire life since that rock.
He puts his head to the deck and bows as deep as a man can bow. And he screams it, his voice breaking, tears streaming down his face. "Owner Zeff, thank you for everything you've done for me all this time. I'll never forget the debt I owe you."
It's not a bow of a subordinate to a boss. It's the bow of a son to a father. And listen to what he says. The debt I owe you. The meaning of that word, debt, has fundamentally changed in this single moment. For the entire arc, the debt has been a chain, an anchor holding him to the Baratie. But now, as he sails away, he reclaims the word. The debt is no longer a burden that trapped him, but a gift that shaped him. It's the foundation of his entire being.
Super. This is one of the all-time great moments in the entire series, and we are only 68 chapters in. This is the emotional core that makes One Piece what it is. It's not about the fights. It's not about the devil fruits. It's about this. This right here, the bonds, the found family, the gut-wrenching goodbyes that are also joyous beginnings.
Every Straw Hat has a moment where they have to confront their past before they can truly join the crew and look to the future. For Zoro, it was his vow to Quina, reaffirmed and reforged in his utter defeat to Mihawk. He had to accept his weakness before he could truly strive for his dream. For Sanji, it's this. Accepting Zeff's gift of a future, and finally leaving the nest.
And everyone on the Baratie is just weeping. These big, tough sea cooks, Patty and Carne included, are all openly crying, Zeff included, because they know they just watched a son set off on his great adventure. They're not losing a cook, they're launching a dream.
It's the perfect end to the Baratie Arc, a saga that started with a fight for a restaurant, a physical place, ended with a celebration of family, an emotional bond that transcends any location.
And with that, they sail off. Luffy, Yosaku, and the fourth person to join the crew, the fourth official member of the Straw Hat Pirates, our new chef, Sanji. Next stop, get our navigator back.
This whole sequence really raises a question about the nature of dreams in this world, Franky. Sanji was fully prepared to sacrifice his own dream, the All Blue, for the sake of Zeff's dream, the Baratie. How many other people in this world have had to make that kind of choice? How many dreams have been extinguished out of love or duty or fear?
That's a heavy thought. It makes Luffy's mission even more important, doesn't it? He's not just chasing his own dream. He's collecting the dreams of others and giving them a vessel to sail on. He's a dream liberator. He shows up and smashes the cages people are in, whether they're literal cages like Zoro's or emotional ones like Sanji's.
I think that's a very accurate way to put it. He frees people from the circumstances that hold them back from their own ambitions. He did it for Zoro, who was just drifting as a bounty hunter. He did it for Sanji, who was bound by debt. And it seems he's about to do it for Nami, who is trapped by a situation she created to protect others.
You know it. He's going to find out who is making her cry, and he is going to send them flying. But first, he's probably going to demand some food. He's finally got a world-class chef on board.
Okay, but think about the crew's structure now. We have the captain, Luffy. We have the primary combatant, Zoro. Now we have the chef, Sanji. But Sanji is also a formidable fighter. This changes the entire dynamic.
A powerhouse core for the crew is born, right here in Chapter 68. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. This is the power core of the crew right here. They might not know it yet, they've never even fought together, but these three are going to be the ones shaking the pillars of the world. The captain, the swordsman, and the martial artist. It's a classic, perfect combination.
Their dynamic is going to be interesting to watch unfold. Zoro is driven by personal ambition and a code of honor. Sanji is driven by chivalry, kindness, and his own sense of duty. And Luffy is driven by an almost pure concept of freedom. They complement each other, but I foresee a lot of conflict, especially between Zoro and Sanji.
The best kind of conflict. They're gonna bicker and fight over every little thing. I can feel it. Sanji will probably make fun of Zoro's sense of direction, and Zoro will make fun of Sanji's curly eyebrow. And then when an enemy shows up, they're gonna stand back to back and absolutely demolish them. I cannot wait to see it.
The balance of power in East Blue is about to shift dramatically. Don Krieg, the supposed ruler of the East Blue, thought he was the top dog, and Luffy dismantled his entire fleet and his pride. Now, Luffy has added one of the Baratie's top fighters, a man who could take out dozens of Krieg's men by himself, to his crew. They're becoming a force to be reckoned with.
And they're sailing head-on into a new conflict. They're going to face whatever threat was so big that Nami felt she had to run away from them to handle it alone. After seeing what they did to Krieg, what could possibly be that dangerous? The stakes just went through the roof.
This whole farewell was so emotionally packed. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Let us know in the comments what part of this goodbye hit you the hardest. Was it Zeff's final words, Sanji's bow from the boat, or the chef's cannonball farewell?
All right, Robin, let's get to it. Predictions for Chapter 69. What's next on our journey to find Nami?
Okay, my first prediction. Yosaku is clearly ill, maybe suffering from scurvy, but he also mentioned a shark bit him. Nami is known for her obsession with money, and she's in some kind of deep trouble. Thematically, sharks are often associated with loan sharks, predators who prey on the desperate. I think the antagonist we're about to meet is a fishman, specifically a shark fishman. It all lines up. Fishmen are from the Grand Line, which would explain the elevated threat level.
Ooh, I like that. A fishman in the East Blue? That feels out of place. It suggests someone powerful who came from the Grand Line and set up shop here. Okay, my first one. Now that Sanji is officially the cook, the very first thing he does next chapter is cook a real proper meal for Luffy, not just giving him leftovers or fighting over scraps. He's going to take over that galley, which has probably been seriously neglected, and show Luffy what a world-class chef can do on the high seas. It's his first act as a Straw Hat, his formal introduction through his craft.
That feels inevitable. Luffy has been complaining about food since Chapter 1. My second prediction, we're going to get a location. Yosaku is their guide. He will tell them exactly where Nami went, and it's going to be an island we haven't heard of before, with a name that sounds menacingly cheerful. Something like Arlong Park, a name that hides a dark truth. He's going to lay out the whole situation for them on the way there, giving us our first real dose of exposition for this new arc. It'll do it through Yosaku's terrified testimony. We're going to know exactly what Nami is up against, and it's going to make us question if even Luffy is strong enough to handle it.
An intriguing possibility. A villain who isn't just strong, but truly malevolent. That would be a new challenge for Luffy. We'll have to see next time. That's all the time we have for today.
It was an emotional one, but a super one. Join us next time as we set a course to bring our navigator home.
Until then, may your own voyages be grand.